Hey guys, I want to give you guys the information you need for the short to medium term scenario to kind of understand whether Bitcoin is going to hold this price level or not. But more importantly, just to be aware about what's actually going on in the charts for Bitcoin at this $15,000 to $16,000 price level. We've got the 3-day RSI and we've got a support line on that RSI that's very telling. Every time we lose that support line, we see a massive drop. Every time we hold it, we see a massive bounce. And so obviously Bitcoin's on the edge of making one of those decisions. And then we also have a shorter term triangle that we need to look at as well. So starting off with the triangle as the first thing we need to be watching on Bitcoin, it's quite simple. Go to the 4-hourly chart and draw in the triangle as I've drawn it here from the wick starting on the 9th of November through to the wick starting on the 14th and then through to the wick today. And from the downside, it's quite simple to draw. It's the 10th of November wick through to the wick here on the 14th of November. Now, the triangle is very interesting. And the triangle is very telling. Since we have formed this triangle on the support region that we have marked at the bottom at this point in time at 15.6k, we do have evidence to suggest that if we lose this triangle, by the way, it's a bearish pennant formation, so it is a bearish structure, and that does suggest that we will probably lose it. It's not certain. About a 70% 70 to 72% probability that we lose this triangle according to the stereotypical breakout of bearish pennant formations. 72% chance to break to the downside there. If we do break to the downside, I'm not going to take a measured move from the pennant itself because I think that will be over extrapolated, but I can say for sure that if we do break this pennant to the downside, it's very likely, it's almost, to the point of 90% likelihood that we lose the 15.6k low, right? If we lose that support line, we're going down lower than 15.6k. So I would say that if we lose this pennant to the downside, and you will be able to kind of optimize and take advantage of this as it happens. If we lose this pennant to the downside, that would be an instant short position, and we'd likely go very far below 15.6k, hence losing the low there. So that's one thing you got to watch. And then obviously if we break that pennant to the upside, we'd be swinging upwards and we'd be retesting 17.6k, which of course was the June low. If we go back to June, right? June low was at 17.6k roughly. In fact, we can move that up a little bit. There we go. We'd be retesting that region if we break this pennant to the upside. So that's the first thing you need to watch. Very simple, obviously. Just a bearish pennant formation. Break to the downside, we'll lose the low. Break to the upside, we'll retest the previous low. Quite simple. That's the first thing you need to watch. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now, before we get into the second thing, which is the RSI, we need to understand where Bitcoin is right now. We need to understand the fact that we are in support, and we need to understand the fact that there is a possibility that we do hold support here, okay? And as seen by this bearish pennant formation, if we break this pennant to the upside, Bitcoin's not actually looking all that bad, okay? Now, looking at the daily chart, for example, okay, this orange line is the low on the daily chart. If we zoom all the way back to 2020, and you might have seen this before, someone else might have done this, we can see that actually is a relevant resistance zone before the bull market. And when we did get above it, we came up, we resisted support, flipped it, and then we went to the upside, right? So we are on support. Historical support. It's not just a random price region we picked. And if we go to the weekly chart, we can see, something very similar with the weekly candle, right? Weekly chart on Bitcoin, zoom in, we see where the weekly candle closed. It closed at 16.3K. Zoom back to 2020. 16.3K was a region in which, as you can see, right, vaguely, we kind of, saw it as a support flip kind of region there from the November 2020 rally, okay? So, and also zooming back here to 2017 as well, it was also used as, we went up, we came down, we rejected off that region, bumped our head on it, and then we came down again. So it's been historical resistance, okay? The daily chart, it's been historical resistance in 2020, and on the weekly chart, it's been historical resistance in 2017 and 2020 as a resistance support flip. So we are on support. Contrasting to popular belief, a lot of people seem to believe we're just kind of floating here. It's not true. We are on support, and the longer we consolidate in this region, the more likely that support will hold. Okay, at this point in time, as mentioned in yesterday's video, I don't see it as extremely likely that we hold the support level. I do think we'll go downwards further. However, predictions are predictions. What is objective is the charts. And the charts say this is support, and until we lose it, guess what? We're still holding it. So that's kind of the thing. And I will say as well, I'm a believer in the 4-year cycle theory, and the 4-year cycle theory says Q4 bottom. So any price level we're testing, in this Q4 bottom range, I'm kind of considering as a potential bottom. So it is worth noting that very well could be the bottom, but we will look into that a bit further, obviously, as the price develops, and especially if this triangle breaks to the upside or the downside, that will give us a lot of clarity on that situation. But another thing I want you to kind of understand, we've seen already Bitcoin's on the edge of a cliff here. It's on thin ice, okay? Thin ice at 15.6K, thin ice on the weekly chart at 16.1K, 16.2K, all right? Thin ice in both of these levels combined. Thin ice with the triangle. We're we're compressing into a very tight range of that triangle formation. We're also on thin ice on the 3-day RSI. I want to briefly interrupt this video to talk about the BitGet exchange. Now, the BitGet exchange has 5 times lower fees than Binance, which is commonly referred to as the cheapest exchange in the cryptocurrency market. It's also non-KYC or voluntarily KYC, so you can stay true to the fundamental values of cryptocurrency, one of which being anonymity, of course. It's also got a security fund in there, so if you lose your funds by fault of the exchange or by personal fault, you can make a claim and actually retrieve your funds back. On top of all of this, if you sign up using my referral link, you can get access to exclusive discounts and rewards. This is the best exchange on the cryptocurrency market, and I use it personally, and so should everyone at the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. Now, if you're interested in actually learning how to trade for yourself, you can check out the Crypto Academy via the website link in the description below. This is a course developed by myself and Maguel Crypto, a 10-unit course taking you through every single step from step 1 to step infinite about how to become a trader. Go ahead and check that out and chuck us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with the full information and payment information if you're interested. Thanks guys for watching the advertisements. Let's get back into the video. Now, this is something you need to kind of chart up to understand. What I have here on the 3-day RSI, my camera might be blocking it slightly, but I'll show you there. 3-day RSI, I have 34.45, the level. Right, you can actually shift it downwards slightly. It's in that 33 to 34 region on the 3-day RSI. We have a major support zone on the RSI there, okay? Now, every time we have lost that major support zone, let's zoom in, right? The pink line, look at the RSI, look at what has happened when we've lost that level on the RSI, okay? Look here, we lost it in September 2014, right? We lost it around 400, we went all the way down to 200, 50% drop, okay? We lost it later in that year in 2015, we lost it around 268, we went all the way down to 150, right? That's again, close to a 50% drop. But when we bounce off of it, when we hold it for support, we tested it there in September 15, we held it for support, we saw a massive rally, okay? And you can go through the entire history of Bitcoin, and you can see that every time we hold this level for support, for example, here, 2018 January, we found support, we saw a massive rally, okay? Here we go, July 2018, found support, we saw a massive rally. And then when we finally lost it, right, we finally lost it in November 2018, we saw a huge drop. That trend repeats throughout the entire history of Bitcoin. You can go ahead and look at it for yourself. 33 to 34 on the 3-day RSI is a very important level. When we hold it, we bounce, and we bounce hard. When we lose it, we drop, and we drop heavy. Okay, so that's something you really need to know. Very important to understand. Bitcoin is currently at around 37 on the 3-day RSI. Okay, when we tested the level here at the low at 15.6K, we were testing the support line on the RSI. Therefore, if we drop below 15.6K, it is a reasonable assumption to make that Bitcoin will see a large drop, okay, an actual capitulation. Based on the fact that every single time we have lost this line in the entire history of Bitcoin, we have seen a large capitulation. Bitcoin is hence on very thin ice. If we bounce off this level, which would be indicative of a break above, say, 17.6K, that would confirm a bounce, we would be bouncing hard and potentially confirming the bottom. Whereas if we drop below this level at 15.6K, as per the 3-day RSI, we would be seeing a hefty drop. Very important stuff, guys. Bitcoin is on thin ice. I'm not really giving much predictions in this video. I left that over to yesterday's video, but this is things that everyone should be charting up and everyone should be watching on a daily basis, because as you can see, they're very important and they could trigger any day, right? Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.